another way to view the world. It's just a wrong way to view the world. Every man understands you shouldn't be complaining about things you cannot change. You have to play the cards you're dealt. To be born a certain height and then to sit there and go, what do I do? I'll tell you what you do. You become the best version of yourself, just like everyone else does. We're all born, okay, let's say we were all blessed with height at this table. We still had to become the best version of ourselves. If I was only 6'3" and didn't achieve any of the other things I've achieved, none of you would be watching this podcast right now.
True.
Nothing about the height is in and of itself enough value for me to be a valuable man. As a man, you build your value. You are born with the cards you're dealt. Sure, it'd be ideal. Look, I'd love to be 7 foot tall. I'm not. So it's the same argument. You can only become the best version of yourself, and to sit there and to constantly complain about it is a feminine frame. If you're 5'2", you need to become rich, strong, well-connected, and funny and charismatic and interesting and witty. If you're 6'4", you need to become rich, strong, well-connected. It's the same game. Every single system, all of them are corrupt. The judicial system's corrupt. The medical system is corrupt. The financial system's corrupt. It's all corrupt. It's all a matter of who you are. Now, in America, the game is limited to ultra billionaires who control the government, as you've said. In other countries, anyone with money and some basic social skills and some nice friends can play the game. If we're going to accept that every single system on the planet is corrupt, why would you live in a place where you cannot access the corruption? Does that make sense logically? Name a single attribute for masculinity, which is going to come from a place other than trauma or pain. I talk about this all the time.
Zero.
People say, I've had a traumatic life. I say, well, then you're very, very fortunate. You had a traumatic life. Now, you may have misused that trauma. You may have misplaced it. You may have accepted the matrix telling you that you now have an excuse to fail, as opposed to using it to grow. But every single man of value went through trauma, and they went through pain. It's going to be painful to get strong, painful to get rich, painful to become important. It's going to be painful to become good with women. Your heart's going to get broken a bunch of times. You have to be prepared for the pain. If you're not ready for pain, you're never going to be anything that matters. So Justin just absolutely and utterly nailed it. My kickboxing coach used to say to me, I used to come in the gym, say, what do you hate the most? And I said, I hate running. He said, okay, you're going running. I say, why? He goes, because whatever you hate is what you need. You to understand that the paradigms that we view the world in are completely and utterly different, because you still believe in the idea of a law-abiding citizen. You believe that if you're a law-abiding citizen, the government's never going to come for you and they're never going to hurt you because you stick to the rules. And if you have not learned anything in the last 3 years of COVID, that the rules can be turned and used against you at any moment to lock you in your fucking house without reason, where they can come along and become a communist country at the drop of a hat and literally restrict your very movement, and you to sit there and say that I trust these people absolutely and completely with my freedom and control over my life is asinine. I'll tell you something, man. If I was 21 like you and I had your money and your influence, when I was 21, I couldn't even fucking eat. I was effectively homeless. Jesus and I still managed to become a world champion kickboxer without food. If I was you with your setup right now, I could be anyone I fucking wanted. You can be king of earth. You have every single thing except for mind control. You have the last missing piece and you can conquer the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is extremely important, all of you have a handful of aces. I don't think you understand that bacteria could have stolen your eyesight at the age of fucking 3. You could have been in a car crash at 4 years old and lost your legs. You have any understanding of how lucky you have been. This is pure luck. There's only luck has kept you fully able-bodied, sitting there, capable of learning and listening and becoming something. And they're going to sit there and pretend you don't have a pocket full of aces. You have a pocket full of aces along with everybody else. Every single person here is about to tell you a story of hardship. I would actually guarantee that most of the people watching this podcast had a better start than most of us.
100%.
And here we are. So you have this whole frame I don't like. It's a question I get a lot. What do I do if I'm not rich? What do I do if I'm not tall? What do I do if I'm not handsome? I'm uninterested. We're not females. I cured my brain. I used basic indefatigability. I used perspicacity. I used compendiousness. I used my mind, and I focused, and I fucking conquered the world in a few short months. It's not difficult. There's just no competition because everybody's fucking distracted. They're getting distracted by this, distracted by that, watching fucking Netflix, jerking off to Pornhub like fucking jackasses. It's so easy to win if you can control your own mind. But it seems that nobody fucking can. And that's how the people who run the world keep the world running, because they have all the slaves exactly where they need them to be, permanently distracted and semi-depressed, working their asses off in jobs which will never satisfy them and never pay enough money. That's the matrix. It's not the destination, it's the journey. So if you have no journey, you have no lessons and you have no stories. And Justin absolutely nailed it. I know a lot of people who are born rich and they've stayed rich and they're not even happy. That's the worst possible existence you can hope for. You're born rich. You have nothing to strive for in your life. What are you striving for, right? You're striving for status as a man, and the status is going to come from money. And money's only going to be interesting because you're going to talk about all the times you were poor. That's what it's about. All these brokey days are going to be the best days of your life once you're out. It's like getting out of jail and telling your jail stories. It's funny. Right? But if you stay in jail, it ain't that funny. So don't be complaining about it. Margaret Thatcher said it. She said the best life anyone can live is to be born with good parents and no money. And she absolutely and utterly nailed it. It was Margaret Thatcher, the OG. Yeah. If you have this paradigm in your mind that you should just be happy by default, without trying, without working, without any kind of struggle, without any negatives in your life, and you're just going to be a happy person and you're always just going to be laughing and giggling in the top 1%, that's asinine. It's not real. And it's a stupid mentality to have. I don't care how happy you are. You have work to do. If any man comes to me and he's looking for guidance, I say, I don't really care how happy you are because you're fat. You got work to do. Come talk to me when you have a six-pack. Otherwise, I don't care. You have too much to get done to be talking about happiness. Most of you men out here have so much to get done before you talk about happiness. It's amazing to me how little work the majority of people out here are doing. And no matter what happens in my life now, I can sit there and go, well, at least I'm not about to get in the cage and deal with that guy, you know? And you need to have, at least I can eat. We've all been through stages where we can't eat. So stress tolerance is something that can be learned. It's something that you can, like you said, when you're young, it's a muscle. It's a muscle. When you're young, go out there and get stressed, get upset, have those sleepless nights. You should, at 17, 18, you should be panicking, right? And that's going to give you a stress tolerance level that allows you to grow into an adult, which can handle a big life. Most men can't raise their voice. They can't raise their voice at their job. They'll get fired. They can't raise their voice in their house. Their woman's will be like, who the fuck you yelling at? They can't raise their voice at anyone. They're not allowed to be angry and someone to give a shit. Right? There's something amazing about living with true intention and just being happy when you're happy, being mad when you're mad, and people caring.